and welcome along to Buttons and Bows, our live crafts along. This afternoon we're going to make a flower brooch for Mother's Day, so that's something you can make for your mum to show how much you appreciate her. So I'm going to show you a few examples to start with. I'm going to do two different ones today. One's made with ribbon, one's made with fabric, but they're both dead easy to do. Older kids suitable if they can use a needle and thread. If not, you can do the sewing for them, but it's quite simple, and it'll just use things that most crafters have lying around. So to start with, I'm going to make something along the lines like this. Now don't worry if you don't crochet. I've crocheted those flowers in the middle, but we can just as easily use lace. It's easily, see the way it's made is it's a white piece of wide ribbon, and it's been gathered, and I've sewn. This is just a brooch back that I bought, but you could put just a safety pin will do. So that's the ribbon one with the button in the middle, and the other one I'm going to show you today is this one. These are what I think they're called Yo-Yos fabric. You make them from circles of fabric, and you just gather again. So this is a bigger one, a smaller one, a button. And again, it's got the brooch back on, and I've just put a bit of felt on just to hide the back of the brooch, but you don't have to do that. And again, you could just use the safety pin. So talk about ribbons. I'm really lucky because I've got somebody who rides and has loads of rosettes and always gives me the ones when she's clearing out. So a free source of recycled ribbon. This is one of my rosette ribbons. You can see it's been stitched along this bottom edge, but that doesn't matter because we're going to stitch it there. So this is like a pink with a gold edging, and I've also got this one that's a plain pink one. So those are my rosette ribbons. I've also got some wire edged ribbon that florists use, which has a bit of wire running through it. Makes it easy to get a nice even edge on it. So there's that one as well. You can see I'm mostly on a pink theme today. I've also got a bit of another bit of wire edge ribbon, but that's like an organza. These are good. These were fastening because you can see it's still got the little bit of elastic. Pajamas at Christmas. So I've got lots of pieces of this in white and cream. I've got a bit of tartan that was left over from doing wedding flowers. I have got some, this is pretty, another organza ribbon. What else have I got here? I was going to show you some stretchy lace. Not got much of this left, but it was a great big reel of it from a charity shop. I would actually probably fold that in half. Some other bits of lace, which can make a nice centre. If you don't crochet, you can use lace. And what else was I going to show you? I think that's about it. Oh, this is organza fabric, very fine. I've got red and I've got white. So buttons, I've got masses of buttons. Today with my pink and my white, I'm going to use these, which are vintage, that I got given by when I was collecting buttons for the NHS. So they're quite pretty. They're like little flowers, and so are they. I've also got, you'll have seen me use these before, the wooden buttons, painted wooden buttons. That's a heart-shaped one, and that's a round one. Now these you can buy by the 100 from eBay for like literally 50p. They're really cheap. They are from China. I can see I've got loads of people watching. That's really good today. Just make a comment. Hello Jane, how are you feeling now today? I think we're all a bit cheerier now. We know lockdown's coming to an end. Well, I certainly am. I've got a little cat button, so if you've got any of these and you know somebody that's into cats, that would be nice. I'll just show you these other ones because these are a little bit more fancy. Again, they're crocheted. If you can crochet flowers, make lovely brooches. These are bits I've recycled from old jewellery. You'll have heard me say before, I have loads and loads of beads because I buy jewellery at charity shops and just pull it apart to make, for the beads, and quite often they have little things on like that, or that's another one. So they're really pretty and quite luxurious looking. So, and beads, you can put beads in. So this one is all lace, so it's two different colours of lace. It's got some little ribbons to decorate it there, and a pearl bead in the middle. The last one I'm going to show you, and then we'll get started. these are fabric. So basically it's just two circles of felt with a bit of padding in the middle. The smaller felt is there just to hide the brooch bit. And I've cut the, this is tweed from a tweed jacket. And I've just embroidered it very simply with a running stitch and put a button in the middle. So they're all really nice to make, dead easy, require minimal skills, sewing skills. Right, so we'll get started. We're going to start with this type, the gathered ribbon one. So as usual, I'm going to turn you down to look at my work surface so you can see what my hands are doing. I've actually done more than 5 minutes preparation for this one, so I'm a bit organised, which is not like me. And I'm feeling virtuous because I've been in the garden all morning. Hello to Pam and Eleanor, thank you for coming along. I've got lots of gardening done today. My garden's looking a bit tidier. So if I do something like housework or gardening in the morning, I'm allowed to craft in the afternoon. That's what it is. Right, I'm just going to turn the camera down. Just bear with me. Oh, it's tightened up too much now. Right, there we go. Can you all see my hands now? You can keep commenting and saying hello. That'd be good. Right, so we'll start. I'm going to use the pink ribbon, the wide ribbon. This is about 1 metre, but you won't need it all. Now you can see mine has been stitched down that bottom edge, so I'm just going to stitch down that bottom edge again. So where did I put my needle? I said I was organised, didn't I? I had a needle ready threaded. There we go. Threaded up with just some pink sewing thread. So at the end, I'm just going to do, can you see me? I'm just going to do a little double stitch. I don't tie knots because I find they just run through, particularly with ribbon, because this is like an acrylic ribbon, so it can fray very easily. So then you just go right along with a running stitch, a loose running stitch, because you're going to gather it up. So I said this is very simple to do. If you've got children who are able to use a needle and thread, that's great. This is a lovely thing. They can make them for their mums, their grandmas, everybody. And they're really pretty. They're nice on a coat, on a scarf, on a bag, on a hat. So just keep sewing along until you think you've got enough. Usually about 12 inches, I would say. It depends how full you want it or how big a piece of ribbon you've got. Sometimes you haven't got a very big piece of ribbon. I've got lots of this. So basically you're making a rosette. So just a little bit more, so that what I wanted to do is curl round enough to meet the other side. So I'm just going to do a little bit more along there. Are you all just watching, or is anybody crafting along? Yeah, you're all just watching, I can tell. Okay, so now that you can see is gathered enough to come back round to this side and meet up. Let's pull. Do you know, I told you, didn't I, that it was going to come loose if I wasn't careful, and it has done. Pulled it too hard. Bear with me, I'm going to have to do it again. I should do now, this is where I should do it. Here's one I made earlier. But, hey ho. I might have to tighten a knot, actually. It's like a surgeon's, I learned how to do it almost like a surgeon's knot. There we go. And I'm going to just do it quickly now. At least I know how far I want to go with it. I'm going to do slightly big gathers, so that it's got a nice full finish to it. Oh, Jill, hello. I saw your picture. I'm glad. Was that your son who's got Joe Exotic? If you've been following me along this week, you know I've been doing a fundraiser by making dolls of celebrities and books characters and things like that, and I made Joe Exotic for Jill, and I had to look it up because I didn't know who he was. Right, so when you've got sufficient, just cut your ribbon, and then with the excess thread you want to just sew through. Can you still see me? Sew through the middle to hold the gathers. So I would just put a few little stitches to hold it there. don't go too near the edge because you don't want the stitches to show, and we are going to put something in the middle so it will hide. Now my needle's unthreaded. See, looking at me, if I can do it, anybody can do it. Do you know? I'm not the world's expert. And then what I would do then is, with your gathers, is just stitch round, so you're just catching the bottom of them, just so they don't move once you're, so just a little running stitch round, gathering it, getting through the bottom of one gather, up through the bottom of one gather and down through the other, just to secure them in place. It is looking almost like the rosette that I pulled apart to make it with, except that was much bigger. But yeah, I like, you know, I like to use recycled and reuse, make, do and mend. So this is a really good use. The lady that gives me them couldn't bear to throw them away, but she has far too many. So she's quite happy for me to, I'm not telling you she is, because you'll all go and get ribbons from her and I won't get any. I don't think she's watching. Right, so it doesn't need to be neat because you're going to hide that bit. So then just knot it off. At the back. This is why I put the circle of felt on the back, to hide all the messy stitches. So I'll show you that later. I'll just pop that there where I can see it. So that's my first layer. Now in the middle of this I'm going to put another rosette because I don't have any crochet flowers ready at the moment. That's the thing I use for all my odds and ends. So to go in the middle I've got this, which is like an organza ribbon. I'm just going to do exactly the same with this as I did with that. It might be a bit wide, so let's have a look. No, it's fine. Again, you want to anchor your thread at the end. So we will put a knot in it this time. I think you'll agree this isn't a difficult project, but it does look very effective. Maybe pull my gathers a little bit higher to make it a bit smaller. And as I said, kids will love this. Even if it's, you know, if you make them with your grandkids to surprise their mum. It's only 2 weeks tomorrow is Mother's Day, so it's not that far away. But it does give you next weekend to make something if you want to do it. This is quite a nice ribbon. It's got a little hint of pink in it. Right, so let's just let that spring out and try and gather it a bit more. I'm a bit fumble-fingered this morning, and my nails out don't look very nice because I've been gardening. I was so pleased to hear that nail bars and hairdressers can reopen, because I've got to the stage where I look like, I don't know, look my age, that's what I look like, with not very nice nails and not very nice hair. So I will be very, very glad to get back to having my nails done. Now, I told you I was gardening this morning, and I thought, oh, I'll have time to wash my hair and have a shower, but I didn't. But I did have time to get me quick Tropics facial in. So if Kale is watching, or Vicky, there you go, Tropics out all the way in my house. So put the two together. How pretty is that? That pink, that one on the top is lovely. My gathers have lost their way a little bit there, but so I'm going to use one of those vintage buttons I showed you earlier. I don't know, which do you think, pink or white? Pink, I think. So let's get it off the card. These are quite old. These have got to be 50-year-old. I think they were my mother-in-law's. She had one of those tins. In fact, this is her tin here. I think it was a tea-cad of biscuits, actually, Cars biscuits from Carlisle. Shouldn't say that around here because you'll all be Foxes people because they're local. But yeah, Cars Carlisle. So that was her tin that she kept the buttons in. So I've kept that. And she had some really nice buttons in it as well. Not that she did a lot of sewing, but... So I think I'm going to put more thread on my needle because it becomes quite awkward when you've only got a short bit of thread and you're sewing on a button. So I'm just getting rid of that. And I usually like to use a double thread when I'm doing a button because it's just that bit stronger. And now I can't find the thread. This is usual, typical of me. If Bernie Brannigan is watching, she'll be laughing now because she says I'm just when I do videos, I'm just like I am in real life. I witter away and I lose everything. But still, can't all be perfect. Oh God, I can't see that. And this is another thing. Even though I'm wearing my reading glasses, threading, I'm going to have to put some more light on. Right. Even that doesn't help. Oh my God, it's getting worse. There we go. Done it. Find the other end. So I'll knot this at the other end where it's, so it's a double thread, and it'll be that bit more secure. This is actually quite a fine sewing thread. It's finer than I usually use. So now you can see I've got a double there. So I will anchor it at the back. And hook it through there. So right, if there's kids watching, don't do that at home because I just put that in my mouth, the needle. I do that all the time. John tells me off. He says one of these days you'll just swallow it. So, oh, that's a lot to go through now. Thread my button on. Can't get a grip on this needle because it's only small. There we go. And through the other side. I've had an interesting week this week because I've bought a house. Which not for us, but for a rental. But it's been like, oh, it's stressful even when you're not living in it. You have to, you know, find so many documents. And who has bank statements these days? Nobody. You know, not paper ones anyway. So I'm going to go through it 3 times. So it's nice and strong. You can pull it as tight as you like because it's not going through a buttonhole. It doesn't have to have that sort of bit of looseness to it. I think actually that's enough too. Right, so what do you think of it so far? I think that's really pretty. I like that. Right, I'm going to, where's my brooch back? I'm going to do it with a safety pin because the likelihood is that you don't have a brooch back. So that's my safety pin. And it's just a simple matter of sewing it through the bit that doesn't bend. Sewing through the ribbon and through the... Can you... Oh God, I've got it tangled now. Wait a minute, bear with me. Right, so just a few little stitches to catch that on there. This is when I find out I've done the wrong bit. No, I haven't. Okay. So that's it. It's done. As I say, you can cover the back with a little circle of felt. Which I don't have to have. Oh wait a minute, there's some felt. So I've got my new storage system hanging on the wall. I don't know whether you've seen the pictures of it on Facebook, but it's great. It does make things a lot tidier in here. When I swing the camera around, I'll show you. So you want a piece that's just going to cover inside of your safety pin. So undo your safety pin, pop that. See, it's a bit long, so what I might just do is put a slit in there so that you pop that underneath. It's still a bit big. Cut a bit off that side. I'll get there eventually. Just talk among yourselves. Right, so there. So that covers now the all the stitching. We can trim it a bit more if we want, and then I'll stitch it on. So then you just run and stitch around the edge. Tiny, as neat as you can get your stitches, but again, part of its charm is its handmade rusticness. This is, I should have tied a knot in this. It's coming right through. So for the yo-yos, you'll need something to draw around that's circular, and you'll need just some pieces of poly cotton or cotton fabric. Scraps of fat quarter fabric are great. I have templates ready made that I draw around. I'll post the template sheets on the event later, and you can download them and print them off at home. They're really handy. I tend to print mine off. I have some sticky backed paper and I print them off on that and then stick it on card, or you can laminate it. It just makes them a bit more durable than paper, because if you've got them on paper, it's not long before they become really tatty. So nearly there, nearly all the way around. Just going to go underneath the head of the safety pin there. If you've got fraying edges up to your ribbon, little trick is to just put some heat on them. So I tend to use, I quite often have this little tea-light candle going, and I just touch it above. You don't have to touch the flame, but just above it where the heat rises, and it'll just singe those ends off and they'll stop fraying. But just be careful you don't set fire to anything. Don't let your kids do it. Okay, so that's all done, and there we go. And I think that's really, really pretty. I'll just trim off these odd bits of thread that are left over. Don't know where that's come from, but it doesn't want to come off. Right, so there we go. I shall pop it on, so I'll just undo the and put it on my t-shirt, and then we'll swing you back round again. Right, so there you go. Really pretty. I'm going to keep it on now. Right, look up at me. Okay, so that was I think you'll agree that was quite easy to do, and it's just using bits and pieces that crafters have around the house. Well, I do, but then I've got everything. So right, don't lose my needle, because I'll need that again in a minute. Right. I'm just going to get some fabric to show you what I mean by the so with this one you want two toning or contrasting fabrics. So you might want to do some plain, one of the pieces plain and one of the pieces patterned, or I've got those two which are quite nice together. I think the one I showed you was spots, so it was two different pink spots. Can you see the pale pink has spots on it as well. So you just cut it out with your circle. I can't decide what to do now. I think I'll go with them. I'll do my small circle in that and my big circle in that. Right, I'm going to turn you down again, so just bear with me. Okay, and it's as simple as cutting it out. I should have ironed this, but there you go. So put that on, and I'm going to use my chalk marker. This is French chalk. It's good for writing on fabric, but it's really good because it's in a pen. It's harder to use when it's a little, well, I find it hard to use when it's a little block. So that's your circle, which you then cut out. Get my fabric scissors. Does anybody know anywhere locally where you can get scissors sharpened? I'd be really grateful if they did. If you could just pop a message on to me after, because these are desperately in need of sharpening. And they need to be reasonably sharp to cut through fabric. I don't use them for anything else. Lost my circle now. It's gone a bit faint. Right, and the last bit right round. It's usually easier if you turn your fabric and keep your scissors still, but because this is the whole piece of fabric, it's a little bit more difficult to do that. So please excuse my elbows pointing up in the air. Right, so that's my backing fabric. And I'm going to use the cream for the middle. So I need to cut that out next. Put that to one side so don't cut through it again. And yes, I should have ironed this as well. The iron's on actually, but I might just nip over there and iron them in a minute. If you're doing more than one of these, you can always fold your fabric over and cut 2 circles or even 3 circles at a time. It would save you a little bit of time. There is another one I can show you, not today but another time, that I quite like, and it just requires lots and lots of circles of fabric and circles of tulle. In fact, I'll show you it now. That's it. So you just put them on and you fold them up into quarters and sew them on in layers, and it makes a beautiful, it looks a bit like a camellia, I think. So I could show you that next week maybe, if you want to, if you're still interested. Right, so that's my 2 circles of fabric, and I need thread. Bear with me a second, I'm going to get some cream for this. No, that's white. No, I'm going to use pink because I've got pink handy. Again, length of thread. And your needle. I need somebody to come and thread needles for me. My sewing machine now has an automatic threader. It's the best thing I've ever had. And it also has a top loading bobbin, which is ace as well. This is no good. I'm going to have to try and find a needle with a bigger eye. Let's try this one. That's not bigger. I tend to use the ones with the bigger eyes and lose them. So, you know, when you get a big pack of needles, there's always different sizes, and I'm always just left with the ones with the little eyes. And now somewhere I have one of them little metal wire doobries, and I keep losing them as well. Oh God, this is tragic. Right, forget it. Let's do the other end. Right, why was it easier at that end? So, with your big one, again, which side do you need to be on? On the, yeah, right side. Yeah. Just attach your... I learned to do these at the WI. At the one and only WI meeting that I got to before lockdown started. And I thought they were really effective. I'd seen them, you know, on Pinterest and things like that. I just never actually got around to actually trying them. So you put your gather stitch all the way around the edge. simple running stitch, up and down, up and down. Again, if you've got kids who are old enough to use a needle safely, this is a great one for them. And these little yo-yos, you can use up, that's got a knot now, so that's not going to gather properly. You can use up all sorts of odds and ends of fabric. You know, things, recycle things, blouses, t-shirts, men's shirts particularly have lots of cotton that you can use and reuse. Anything, a favourite top that's got a tear in it or a mark on it, anything like that, you can use all that fabric. There's no need to be going out and buying fabric. I have to admit I bought this, but I did buy it cheap at Aldi, so I'm allowed that. And it's amazing what you can find to reuse. Men's shirts particularly, I quite like the plaid check ones because they make nice, you know, you can make things for men. So like my fabrics are flowery, and not everybody man appreciates a flowery pink spectacle case or something. That's why I like using the tweed as well. Okay, so once you've done that, you gather it so that it comes onto the inside and makes a smaller circle. So keep pulling. What's happened here? Get the ends. Where did I get to? Right, pull it from the other end as well. Something's gone wrong there. I must have got a knot in it. It doesn't want to gather up. There. This knot's come because I've got too much thread on this. Bear with me. I don't think it's going to come undone. I'll just have to gather it that way. Oh dear, there we go, done it. So when you've got your gathers, just tie it off. Still not very good, that. I'm sure you're doing a much better job than I am today. Right, so, and then, again, like we did before, I'm going to put a few stitches to just anchor them together. Like that. Might not have been such a good choice of fabric, this, because it's probably better to use a smaller pattern, because this has got quite a big pattern on it, but you'll get the drift. Okay. So that should hold it together, and then just tweak it to get your circle. Just fold that over, so I've got another gather coming there, because as you can see it's kind of like ungathered itself. So just again go through it with the needle to anchor it. I'll just tie that off. Right, there we go. Put off the spare. So that's your first one. Not a perfect circle, mine, but, and again you're going to cover the middle up, so you don't need to worry about that. Right, now you need to do the same with your smaller circle, but just try not to get too many knots this time. So quick anchor stitch. Sticking it in my fingers now and ruining what's left of my manicure after gardening. With the plain, obviously there isn't a wrong side, so you can just have it whichever way up, and if you get a little bit closer to the edge you'll get a tighter yo-yo in the end. Now with this one I'm going to use one of the nice wooden buttons. I think I've got one that's quite similar to the colours in the fabric. So last few bits. I don't know about you, but I'm quite tired today. It's all that gardening. Pull it tight. See, this has worked better because it hasn't got knotted. And then a few stitches to anchor those pleats together. Now these yo-yos can be used for all sorts of things. I decorated bags with them at Christmas in a sort of like a checkerboard pattern, in different coloured ones with different buttons on, and just on the front of a plain linen bag, linen tote bag. They looked very effective. Well, I thought they did. I hope the people that got them for Christmas like them. Right, so that's enough for that one. So that one then sits in the centre like that, so you can see, and then your button goes in the middle. So where's my button? That one, I think it's quite nice. It's got the blues and the pinks that are in that, or I suppose I could just use the pink one. I think we'll go, see, there's a purpley one there. Actually, that's nicer. We'll go with that one. So these are the wooden buttons I was telling you about that I bought off eBay. They just got a transfer pattern on them. So where's the holes? There's 2 holes in it. Couldn't see where the holes were. And you go all the way through to the back, through all your layers. There we go. A couple more times. When you're stitching through 3 layers, it's sometimes quite difficult to hit the buttonholes, but you can usually see where your needle's coming up and where your hole is eventually. Just make sure everything's square and in the middle. Don't want it to be going off kilter. Next time I do something with you, I'm going to get some new needles because these are just a bit thin. And I'm struggling to get a good grip on them. Mind you, that could be my age as well. Something's come slightly adrift there. Just have to put another couple of stitches in it. Right, so that's our button on. It's not quite centered, but it's near enough, and I'll show you how the brooch backs work. Again, you can get these on eBay for pence, you know, packs of 100. So can you see it's got tiny holes to sew through? So you just open it up, hold it out flat and sew through it. It's tidier, a little bit tidier at the back of this one, because you've hidden everything under your buttons at the front. So yeah, I said it was easy. Go through the hole with your thread and just go under and over. So under the back up through the hole at one side and back up through the hole at the other side. And you do that a couple of times, and then you do the same with the hole in the front of your brooch back. You don't have to tie off, just take your thread under, your needle under, and come up there. As I say, if I'd thought it on, I would have probably used a smaller pattern on my fabric. It's got a bit lost, but it doesn't matter today. Right, and then tie that off. Oh, I've left it too short now. Snip that off, put my needle away, and there we go. I'm going to stick this one on the other side. So let's have a look. What do you think? I know it's a bit weird that though I've got one on each bosom, but yeah, okay, that's it. Right then, so that's us. That's your fabric flowers. I'm sure any mother would be quite happy to get one of those. If you like, and you can come back next week, I'll show you this one, and I will show you this one with the tweed and the felt. It doesn't have to be tweed, it could be any fabric. This fabric, the 12 flower, I did back with interfacing to stop it fraying, but if you were just using felt you wouldn't need to. So yeah, what you'll need is your circle templates, some felt, some fabric, and some net if you've got it, and we'll do those next week, same time, same place. Hope you've enjoyed this. It's great to get feedback from you, so if you want to leave me some messages, if you have any questions, you can, sorry, I'm trying to fasten that at the same time, I should be looking at you. Any questions, you can send me a message and I'll try and answer it as quick as I can. So yeah, enjoy, have a go, send me pictures if you make one, because I love to see what you're doing, and join me again next week. So bye.